Kia ora, good evening. A man who allegedly racially abused an Invercargill taxi driver has been issued a formal warning by police. Police have warned the man in his mid-40s following the incident in a taxi in the inner city during the early hours of last Friday. Southland Area Commander Inspector Lane Todd says police have looked at the evidence available and interviewed the alleged offender. After discussions with the victim, police took his views into account in their decision not to prosecute. Police say the victim has shown compassion, forgiveness and self-restraint. No additional action will be taken, and police say they have a zero tolerance to racial abuse. Fonterra has lifted its forecast payout for dairy farmers in the 2013-14 season, increasing its forecast cash payout to $7.82 per kilogram of milk solids. That figure includes a forecast farm gate milk price of $7.50 and a 32-cent dividend per share. Chairman John Wilson says the increase reflects continuing strong international dairy prices. Southland Chamber of Commerce Chief Executive Richard Hay says the forecast is good news for the province, as it will likely have a ripple effect given dairy is one of Southland's export backbones. He says it's also a good signal that the economy is improving. A company founded in the south is set to close its local manufacturing operation, affecting 11 employees as it readies to consolidate business at its Christchurch plant. Staff at Deep South Ice Cream in Invercargill have been offered positions at its Christchurch manufacturing plant, with 3 staff considering this option. The directors of Deep South Ice Cream say the Invercargill facility is old and would struggle to meet modern-day requirements for daily manufacturing without significant financial investment. Directors say the building's owners gave Deep South notice of a 67% rent increase in January, with no indication of future capital investment in the leased building. The Invercargill plant will stop manufacturing at the end of August. Several multinational satellite operators are showing interest in the site of a remote tracking station near Invercargill. Venture Southland has been working with one space agency on a proposed project since last year, and while there's been no decision on that yet, several other providers are also now considering the site. Awarua is already home to a tracking station built in 2007, and possible projects could be worth anywhere between $2 and $10 million. Potential developments could include a 10 to 12 metre satellite dish. Enterprise Projects Manager Robin McNeil says 5 operators are showing interest in the Awarua site and things are looking promising.
Yeah, well, there are actually several irons in the fire right at the moment. So there is not really at liberty to give away the names. It's a bit of commercial sensitivity on this stuff. But there are at least 2 European agencies interested in Awarua, and there is also potential. We just got into discussions at the moment with an organisation in America who have got a constellation of satellites going up later this year, and they definitely need some sort of presence at this sort of latitude, and they're very interested in Awarua. But that's only just started. It's funny how things suddenly take off. Also, one of the good things that's arisen is we had Jean-Francois Kaufler out here talking to the schools, and came through discussions with him that there are some of his colleagues in the European Space Agency are also very interested in a station here at Awarua, and I've got meetings with them coming up in about 5 weeks' time to see what we can do. So there's a lot of interest. It's frustratingly slow, and I sometimes really despair, I really do, but and just when the despair gets its worst, someone else rings up and say, hey, actually we're really keen. Bit worried, because we've been working at this for a wee while now, and there's still nothing tangible to put on the ground, but no, there is real interest. It's just a matter of getting the stars aligned, if I can use that phrase in this context, and just getting the budgets and the programs all organised. So we are working on it. It's slow going, and I wish it was faster.
Stay with us. After the break, demand proves to be a challenge at the Southland Food Bank. Welcome back. Riverton's historic Aparima Tavern, which was ravaged by fire, could face further rebuild delays as the current owner waits for the Historic Places Trust to inspect the site. The 135-year-old building was gutted by fire almost 2 weeks ago by a blaze that started in the kitchen and spread throughout the tavern. The roof and top storey have been demolished to secure the site and lessen the hazard of loose debris. Owner Robin Mulligan says she's awaiting an archaeologist from the Historic Places Trust to inspect the tavern before any rebuild can commence. It's thought the site may hold important historical information, as Aparima area is the oldest permanent European settlement in Southland. Demand is an ever-growing problem at the Southland Food Bank, with more people seeking help in recent years, and it's a trend which isn't slowing. The number of people seeking help climbed more than 50% between June and July, with the Food Bank helping around 250 people this month. Southland Food Bank Committee Chairman Peter Swain says he's unsure what's driving the rise.
I really can't tell you the answer to that. It's employment opportunities are drying up, of course, down in Southland. Invercargill, and people are just not coping, that's all it is.
So how is the food bank coping with that increasing demand?
We're very fortunate that people in Invercargill and Southland are very generous with the food, and we have several people at and schools, churches, etc. that regularly give us foods, so it's good. We are coping quite well at the moment, but if the demand keeps going like it is, we're going to be in a bit of dire straits.
So that demand has been going up over recent years. Why do you think it has been growing over those years?
It's probably several reasons. The welfare cuts, unemployment. They send people out for jobs that are not there, of course, at the moment. And Southland is very seasonal for its jobs, with the freezing works and other things like that, and the Fonterra Dairy Factory, etc. So it's seasonal, basically, in Southland, more so than other areas around New Zealand. That's where we sort of cop it a wee bit.
How do you think Southland is coping in terms of comparing it to other parts of the country?
Probably not bad, but Canterbury's well up. I see on the report in the telly the other day they're up to 2,500 a month. Well, that's a lot of food they're giving out. So on comparison, we're probably about the same level as them. Yeah.
So you've got a drive on at the moment. How is that likely to help?
Yeah, I'll explain that if I may. That drive is set up by the Christchurch Mission. They organise it from up there, and it's done through the New World supermarkets. They give you the brown paper bags and the paper the other day, and people fill them up and bring them in. Down here, they say that the food in your area stays in the area, so the food in Invercargill comes to us, and the food in Gore go to the Gore Food Bank, etc. So no, it's very good. It comes at a good time for us because we're just heading out of the winter months into the Christmas months, so it stocks us up quite well.
Are you coming into the busiest time of year?
We are, yes, we're heading into it now. Of course, we get the run up to Christmas, and then after Christmas we get February, March, April, which is the school year for the people, and you get school fees, school books, etc., and the snowballs again.
So do you think that numbers will continue to increase?
I think so, unfortunately. Contrary to what the people are saying, the politicians are saying, things are not all that rosy out there. You drive around Invercargill is a good example, and the amount of houses we see for rent now compared with, say, 6 months ago, is quite amazing actually. It's well up in previous years.
Are there plans on how the food bank may be able to cope with continuing growth in demand?
We'll succeed. Where there's a will, there's a way is my motto, and the good Lord looks after us. Yeah, but no, we'll get there right.
Hundreds of Southlanders may miss out on voting in upcoming local government elections, with tens of thousands of election enrolment packs being returned to sender. The Electoral Commission mailed update packs to 3.1 million people at the start of July to ensure they're correctly enrolled to vote, and around 70,000 have bounced back to registrars of electors, marked gone, no address. National Manager of Enrolment Services, Murray Wicks, says it's important people are correctly enrolled, as these elections are held by postal vote. In Southland, 2.3% of election packs were returned, Invercargill was 2.1% and Gore was 1.7%. People have until August 16th to enrol. Invercargill's South Alive group has set itself a target of around 22 projects across 9 areas this year and is working on a number of things. Among the group's work, a beautification project to reduce rubbish from the streets. Trustee Jan Duncan says that it's proving successful, with hundreds of streets adopted so far.
We've got a zero rubbish project to get rid of all the rubbish in South Invercargill. So we've had 100 streets adopted. I think there's about 163 streets altogether. We've had then we've had a few more, so we've got about 48 streets to go. And we're sending flyers out around to let people know what streets are available, and we'd love to have them adopt them.
Now, another project that's happening as well is a neighbourhood projects funding initiative to try and get people to undertake their own work. Can you explain what's happening with that one?
Yeah, well, that's a Neighbourhoods Projects Fund, which is for anyone really who wants to get something happening in the community, for the community. We have a grant to give to people for that, and we are running a workshop so you can actually get a mentor to help you fill out the form and look at what you're wanting to do.
Now, among other things as well, looking at changes to car parking around the central shopping area.
Yes, that's mainly around Martin Street at this stage. We're just doing a survey on what people want, and then we're going to have 2 designs coming up which are going to be discussed with the shop owners and the people who are around here with businesses, and then that will go to the council, and then that work should start next year, beginning of next year.
Now, what are some of the other projects or work that's being undertaken at the moment?
Well, the Fruit and Nut Tree Group are planting 100 more fruit trees in August around South Invercargill, so you'll find those. We've got, what else have we got? We've got a youth group that's setting up an outdoor gym here over the back and next to the basketball court. And the housing group are also doing another garden competition soon. So there's all sorts. The beautification group is continuing to plant the gardens and tidy up the whole of this area.
And that's it from news. Coming up in sport, highlights of last week's ITM Cup warm-up match between Southland and Otago. That's after the weather next from your news team. Good night.